Welcome to this deep dive
Okay.
into a cricket match that, well, might leave you feeling a bit like you've been caught in a downpour yourself.
Right.
We're unpacking Pakistan versus Bangladesh at the Champions Trophy 2025.
Oh, okay.
A clash that promised some serious fireworks, but ended up fizzling out.
Yeah.
Not just because of the weather.
You're right. The rain certainly played a part. But even before a single drop fell, this match had a strange kind of tension to it. Both teams were already out of the running for the semifinals. Yet for Pakistan, the stakes felt incredibly high.
Exactly. This wasn't just another match.
Right.
This was the defending champions on home soil, facing the prospect of their worst ever tournament finish.
Wow.
And let's not forget the weight of expectation that comes with being the host nation.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
Pakistan didn't just stumble, they crashed out spectacularly.
Oh, wow.
Finishing at the bottom of their group.
Oh, my goodness.
With a net run rate of medical 1.087.
Negative.
To put that into perspective for you. That's even worse than Australia's infamous minus 0.680 back in 2013.
Ouch, that's got to sting.
Yeah.
I remember poring over the match report, and honestly, some of the details were just brutal. But you know what's even more intriguing than the stats themselves?
What's that?
The reactions, especially from Captain Mohammad Rizwan.
Rizwan's post-match comments were definitely telling. He didn't shy away from responsibility, openly admitting to mistakes, and what he called a lack of professionalism within the team.
He even went on to say, and I'm quoting here, "We have made mistakes in the last few games. Hopefully we can learn from these." What struck me was that he immediately connected the BIS to their upcoming tour of New Zealand.
It almost sounds like he's viewing this whole Champions Trophy debacle as a harsh but necessary wake-up call.
Right.
Like he's saying, look, we messed up, but we're going to use this to come back stronger.
It's almost like a boxer getting knocked down in an early round. They might be bruised and disoriented, but they also have a chance to analyze their opponent, figure out their weaknesses, and come back swinging.
That's a great analogy.
Thanks.
And speaking of opponents, let's not forget Bangladesh's role in all of this.
Right.
They might have been eliminated too, but they put up a much tougher fight against powerhouses like India and New Zealand than Pakistan did.
And that adds a whole other layer of complexity, right?
Yeah.
It's not just that Pakistan lost. It's that they seem to lose their fighting spirit. Bangladesh, on the other hand, showed resilience, even in defeat.
Yeah, they did. It really does make you wonder what was going through the minds of the Pakistani players out there on the field.
Yeah.
Were they feeling the pressure of being the defending champions?
Right.
Did the expectations of the home crowd become a burden?
That's a fascinating question.
Yeah.
You know, you often hear about athletes talking about the mental side of the game, how crucial it is to stay focused and block out distractions.
Right.
Do you think that's something Pakistan struggled with?
It's certainly possible. Think about the weight of history they were carrying on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Pakistan has a proud cricketing legacy, and the fans expect them to dominate.
Right.
When you combine that with the added pressure of being the hosts, it's a recipe for potential mental overload.
And to make matters worse, they lost two key players early on.
Yeah.
Fakhar Zaman and Saimayub due to injuries.
Right.
I remember thinking at the time, okay, this is going to be tough, but they could still pull through.
Yeah.
Clearly, I was wrong.
Injuries are always a setback, but it's how a team responds to those setbacks that really defines them.
Right.
Other teams have dealt with injuries and managed to adapt, even thrive. So why was Pakistan hit so hard?
Yeah.
That's the million-dollar question.
Is it possible that the injuries exposed some underlying weaknesses in the team's structure or strategy? Like maybe they were too reliant on certain players and didn't have enough depth to compensate?
That's a very astute observation. It's easy to overlook the importance of team dynamics and strategic flexibility, especially when you have star players who consistently deliver. But when those stars are sidelined, the cracks in the foundation become much more apparent.
Okay, so we've talked about the mental pressure, the injuries, and the potential strategic shortcomings.
Right.
But there's another elephant in the room that we need to address. The criticism directed at the Pakistan Cricket Board, the PCB.
Yes, the PCB. They certainly haven't escaped scrutiny in this whole saga. And rightfully so. Former Indian cricketer Mohammad Kaif, known for his sharp insights, publicly questioned whether the PCB was making proper use of ICC funds, particularly when it came to ground covering in Rawalpindi.
That's a serious allegation. Especially considering that the Australia-South Africa match just 2 days prior at the same venue was also completely washed out due to rain.
Yeah.
It's like Rawalpindi has become a cricketing Bermuda Triangle.
The irony is that despite all this talk about rain and ground conditions, this wasn't just a case of bad weather ruining a good match.
Oh, really?
The match was already effectively over before the first ball was bowled.
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean that both teams were already eliminated from the tournament. This was a dead rubber match played purely for pride. The result wouldn't change anything in terms of the standing.
Oh, I see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
So even if the match had gone ahead without a hitch, Pakistan would still have ended up at the bottom of the table with their pride dented and their reputation tarnished.
Precisely. The rain just added a layer of frustration and anticlimax to what was already a disappointing tournament for Pakistan. It's like the universe was conspiring to rub salt into their wounds.
Okay, but let's be fair here. Yes, Pakistan faltered, but Bangladesh didn't exactly set the tournament on fire either. They ended up with the same number of points as Pakistan.
Yeah.
1 solitary point each.
True. But there's a subtle difference here. Despite their losses, Bangladesh showed flashes of brilliance, particularly in their bowling attacks against India and New Zealand.
Right.
They fought hard, they were tactically astute, and they pushed some of the world's best batsmen to their limits.
It's almost like they were playing with a sense of freedom, knowing that the pressure was off and they could just go out there and express themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They embraced the underdog role and turned it into a source of motivation.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a valuable lesson in itself. Sometimes the best way to overcome adversity is to let go of expectations and simply focus on playing your best cricket.
It's amazing how a single rained-out match can open up so many different avenues of conversation.
It really is.
We've talked about everything.
Yeah.
From the psychological pressures of being defending champions to the strategic importance of team depth.
Right.
And the PCB's questionable use of resources.
And let's not forget the contrasting narratives of Pakistan and Bangladesh. One burdened by expectations, the other embracing the underdog spirit.
Yeah.
It really highlights how the same tournament can be experienced in such vastly different ways depending on your perspective and your goals.
It's a good reminder that even in a sport as seemingly straightforward as cricket, there's always more than meets the eye.
Yeah.
There's a whole tapestry of factors. Individual talent, team dynamics, strategic decisions, external pressures, all weaving together to create the final outcome.
Absolutely. And while we can analyze these factors, dissect the statistics, and speculate about what might have been, ultimately the beauty of sport lies in its unpredictability. The fact that even the best laid plans can go awry and the underdogs can rise to the occasion.
Speaking of underdogs, do you think Bangladesh's performance in this tournament, even though they didn't win, is a sign of things to come? Could they be a dark horse to watch out for in future tournaments?
I wouldn't rule it out. They've definitely shown that they have the talent and the tactical nous to compete at the highest level. If they can build on this experience, work on their consistency, and develop a more potent batting lineup, they could be a real force to be reckoned with.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to ponder? What's the thought-provoking question that will stay with them long after this episode is over?
Here's what I would leave you with.
Okay.
Think about Rizwan's words about learning from mistakes. What if this washed-out match, this disappointing tournament for Pakistan, is actually a turning point, a catalyst for change? What if they can channel this frustration, this sense of failure, into a renewed determination to rebuild and come back stronger than ever before?
Wow.
Is this the end of an era for Pakistan cricket or the beginning of something even greater? That's the question I'd like you to consider.
Wow, that's a powerful thought. It's a reminder that even in defeat, there's always the possibility of redemption, of growth, of transformation. This has been another incredible deep dive, and we can't wait to explore more fascinating topics with you next time.